4-2. What happens if he hits? If a zombie, which this is, we say, pull that down to the player instead of 4. Why didn't you do it?
G'day all, JP, Top Deck Commander, back at you once again. I know it's been a long time between videos. What can I say? Life has just gotten away of, well, life. Anyway, video or card I want to showcase this week, Rielle the Everwise. She's got this nothing ability at the top there. She gets +1/0 for every instant and sorcery in your graveyard. Still only 3 toughness, so you know, big deal. But it's that bottom paragraph that makes all the difference. Whenever you discard for the first time, any turn, not just yours, theirs as well, you get to draw that many cards. So now you go windfall yourself in your turn, dump 6 cards, draw 6, plus another 6, get yourself up to 12. Someone else's turn, you can go and activate Jace's Archivist or Magus of the Wheel, dump 12 cards, draw 24. You got to have an answer in there, man. You know, that's 36 cards in no time. There's got to be some kind of answer to whatever they're doing. There's got to be your win con there. Your win con is really just drawing and discarding. Obviously, Niv Mizzet lives here. But they're not really, I don't even have the new one in this deck, just the 2 old ones. But they're not really in for win con. They're more there for board control. Ping off their creatures, until I get my big winners. Obviously, with this card being very popular right now, Captain Howler, the Sea Scourge, Rielle would be fantastic in one of these decks. This guy's currently in my Rielle deck. Trying him out. Hasn't hit the battlefield yet. He's new. I've only had 1 game with this deck. We'll see what happens. But I would recommend Rielle in a Captain Howler deck, because every time you discard, you're activating Howler and you're drawing thanks to Rielle. Get a Teferi's Ageless Insight in there and now you're double drawing and you're just going ballistic. It would be fantastic. So I'm going to get into the video now just a little bit. These videos got a little bit too big for me with the amount of editing and visuals on screen. So I'm not going to go into the ramp. I'm not going to go into interaction, and future videos I'm not going to go do draw either. End of the day, we all know what it is. It's Soul Ring, it's Arcane Signet, it's going to be Is it Signet, Is it Locket, Pongify, blah, 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 blah. You've been playing Magic, you know them. So, you know, you go do you, I'll go do me. And perhaps we won't ever talk about that again. Anyway, let's get into the video now. Okay, so first up, we got some key cards. Fervent Mastery. I'm using this as a tutor. You could also use Gamble for this, but I like the fact it gets 3 cards. I go get the 3 game winners, and, you know, you discard 3 of them, but you got to be unlucky if you can discard all 3 game winners. You shuffle them all up, you discard 3, you're going to draw 3 if this is the first time you played it anyway. Fantastic little card. Step Shrew, the next one. Love Step Shrew. I put this in so many decks. Anytime you need a wizard. It has wizard cycling for 2. It's a suboptimal removal spell, sorcery, return 2 target creatures, but it's the wizard cycling that works. I use this in so many blue decks just to get Archaeomancers and stuff like this. And in this deck, its job is to either get the Niv Mizzets, they are, believe it or not, Dragon Wizards, or get this very next card, Harmonic Prodigy. Harmonic Prodigy says if an ability of a shaman or another wizard I control triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. So it doubles up your Niv Mizzet triggers, it doubles up your Rielle triggers. Fantastic card, key card in this deck. And of course, as I mentioned earlier in the intro, Teferi's Ageless Insight, got to have it in there. You're drawing cards, draw more. Next up, we got the cards, or the creatures that make you discard and draw. First one is brilliant, Forgotten Creation. Beginning of your upkeep, you may discard all the cards in your hand, and if you do, draw that many. Fantastic, because it doesn't cost you anything. All the others will cost. This just sits there. It's a static ability. Magus of the Bazaar, draw 2, discard 3. No way in the world would you have that in any other deck. But in this deck, it's going to work fantastic. That's 5 cards you draw. Jace's Archivist, Magus of the Wheel, I've mentioned them earlier, and Diamond Lion. Doesn't have a draw function on it. It's a case of discard your hand, sack it, add 3 mana, activate only as an instant. I don't even know what that means, really. But you get the 3 mana. That's a last-ditch, oh dear, I'm desperate kind of situation. Next up, we've got a bunch of sorceries and instants. Frantic Search, always a good one, obviously. I'm drawing 2, discarding 2, then drawing another 2, then untapping 3 lands. Windfall, classic. Shattered Perception, discard all and then draw that many. And it's got flashback, so I can cast it from the graveyard. That's all handy. Change of Fortune, discard, draw a card. Now this is draw a card for every card you've discarded this turn. So you could actually use this like a second Rielle. You could use Rielle's ability, then play this again, discard your hand for the second time, and that'll kick in. Read the runes, draw X cards, and discard a bunch. These are nothing cards now. Breakthrough, draw more cards. Path of the Pyromancer, love this one. Discard all the cards in your hand, add red for each card discarded this way. Then draw that many +1. So it replaces itself, good card. Some rubbish in there about planeswalking, who cares? The next ones are a little bit more combative. Is It Charm? It's got a counter target non-creature spell or can do 2 damage to a creature. Draw 2, discard 2. It's just in there for utility. Draw 2, discard 2. Mishra's Command, fantastic. You choose 2 of these. It's red and X. Choose target player. They may discard up to X cards. That's handy if you really want to hold on to a couple of cards. Or it can also do X damage to target creature or planeswalker, or target creature gets +X/+0 and gains haste. So that could also be a game winner there with that buff. But once again, that's just a bit more utility. And finally, in the discard draw section, Collective Defiance. It's got Escalate 1, choose 1 or more. Target player discards all and draws that many. Can deal 4 damage to target creature or 3 damage to target opponent. So you can bolt someone, you can knock out their creature, all while you're discarding and drawing. So with discarding and drawing, let's now cash in on some of that. First up, Surly Badgersaw. Whenever you discard a creature card, put a +1/+1 counter on him. Whenever you discard a land card, create a treasure token. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, Surly Badgersaw will probably only last 1 turn. Put him down, stack all your triggers this way, creatures, lands, buff him up as much as you can, get as many treasure tokens as you can, and then the last one, whenever you discard a non-creature, non-land card, Surly Badgersaw fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. You will be discarding a lot of cards here, so he will just fight his way to death, end up in the graveyard. But that's cool. We also have a couple of new cards here, Scrounging Skyray. Whenever you discard 1 or more cards, put that many +1/+1 counters on it. Has flying, that's handy, so just buff him up, make him nice and big. Growlins, Sky Shark, Rider. Whenever you discard a card, put a 1/1 counter on him, and he deals 1 damage to each opponent. He's one of my game win cons. Yeah, he gets bigger, and I slap a load of damage. Ominous Seas, it's just an enchantment. Gets a 4 shadow counter. Every time I draw a card, remove 8 of them, create an 8/8 Kraken. Basically, some of these cards are in there because I needed some creatures just to slow down the opposition. Chasm Skulker, fantastic card in this deck. Whenever you draw a card, put a 1/1 counter on him. When he dies, create that many 1/1 squid creature tokens with Island Walk. Buff him up, let him die, get a load of chump blockers, keep yourself safe. Speaking of chump blockers, how about the Locust God? Create a 1/1 blue and red insect creature token with flying and haste whenever you draw a card, plus it's got a draw discard function on it. And finally, Prof's Eidetic Memory. So in ETBs you draw a card, always nice when they replace themselves. You have no maximum hand size, and at the beginning of combat, if you've drawn more than 1 card this turn, i.e. you've done some other kind of draw, put X 1/1 counters on a target creature you control, where X is the number of cards you've drawn this turn, minus the one you initially drew. So that's fantastic. He's going to buff someone up. That will work really well, keep you nice and safe. While you're doing all that, of course, you could have gone and tutored up your Niv Mizzets, Niv Mizzet Baron, and Niv Mizzet the Firemind. Whenever you draw a card, they deal 1 damage to any target. Firemind can tap and draw a card, and Perun, whenever a player casts plus an instant or sorcery, I draw a card as well. So a bit of card draw, bit of shooting their guys down, getting rid of problems before they eventuate. They're fantastic. They'll work well. Now, obviously, a lot of stuff's going into the graveyard. So got a few cards here that work from the graveyard or bring things back, bit of recursion. First up is the Exalted Flamer of Tzeentch. I don't know where they get these names really, but anyway. Beginning of your upkeep, return instant or sorcery at random, and whenever you cast one, Tzeentch deals 1 damage to each opponent. Yeah, okay. This guy's hit and miss. Like, sometimes he just puts the right thing in your hand at the right time. Other times you're like, oh, great, mate. Good, I got plenty of those. But never mind. Once again, he pings damage to each opponent. He's a 2/4 body. You know, hey, come protect me. Mystic Retrieval's in there. It's got flashback as well, just to return an instant or sorcery card from graveyard to hand. Recall. Yeah, how old is this? Blue XX. Choose and discard X cards from your hand to take X cards from your graveyard and put them into your hand. Then you exile this card. Yeah, so, you know, I'm not sure. I've never actually had to play this card. I don't know whether it works well or not, but the idea of being able to go, I will get any card in my graveyard rather than an instant or sorcery, I do like that idea, just in case your Niv Mizzets ended up in there or whatever. Commit / memory. I love this card. I really do. I love some janky, cheesy cards. For 4 mana, it's got a bit of removal. Once again, suboptimal removal. But here's a good bit. You go and discard it in your graveyard, and you can cast it from your graveyard because it has Aftermath. Each player shuffles their hand and graveyard into their library, then draws 7. So, you know, things aren't going right. You're struggling to get a move on. Shuffle everything back in. Ulamog, the Infinite Gyre, it's in there just because I own it. No, it's an automatic shuffler. Shoves everything. As soon as it hits my graveyard, you shuffle your graveyard back in. Saved my bacon in a game. Tun was going to mill me out. He was looking for someone to mill like 40-odd cards, and I had discarded a hell of a lot. And he goes to mill me, and I did point out that I'd had a Ulamog because the Ulamog had come up previously in the game. And I showed him my hand, and I went, well, it ain't my hand, buddy. And he's like, oh dear. He knew very well he couldn't therefore mill me, so life was all good. And Echo of Eons, once again, got flashback. Each player shuffles their hand and graveyard into their library, draws 7 cards. It's just a way of just recurring, I guess would be the word. Or to be precise, making sure that I don't go and deck myself. Into some lands. Got a few dual mode lands here. Sink into Stupor. That's a really good one. And an expensive one. Hydroelectric Specimen. Yeah, it's a weird one. I may change the target of an instant sorcerer spell with a single target to this. Basically, I see this as a counter spell of some kind. Somebody tries to kill Rielle. I put this in. They kill this instead. It's got flash. You can use it whenever. Seagate Restoration. Awesome card. Bloody expensive. Draw cards equal to number of cards in your hand +1. You have no max hand size. Got a lot of cards that give me no max hand size in this game. That is a great card because it just doubles the size of your hand. Does that big draw. Then you discard. Then you draw again. And you're just giving people the 1/2. And this last one, Pinnacle Monk. It's in there just because it can return an instant or sorcery from my graveyard to my hand. Obviously, Reliquary Tower, a couple others. Be the big one, Command Tower, they're both in there. A couple of random cards to talk about. Conflagrate. Deals X damage divided as I choose among any number of target creatures and or players. It's got flashback, double red, discard X cards. So I'm going to get the draw, and then it does the same thing really. Damages people, creatures. Fateful Showdown. Love this one. This is awesome. Deals damage to target creature or player equal to number of cards in your hand. Then I discard them all, draw that many. Bingo, bango, bongo. Here we go. I've got 20 cards in my hand, 20 damage to your face, and I'll get another 20 new cards. Beautiful. Nahiri's Wrath. Don't annoy a Nahiri. As an additional cost to cast Nahiri, discard X cards. Deals damage equal to the total CMC of those cards to the number of creatures or planeswalkers equal to the number of cards you discarded. So draw. I'm an idiot. Discard 4 cards, both a 3 mana column. So therefore you're going to do 12 damage at 4 different targets. That's semi-board wiped territory. Fantastic card. Now to our game winners. As you know, we had Briarland Shark Rider. We also got Glinthorn Buccaneer. Whenever we discard, 1 damage to each opponent. He's also got a discard and draw function. Madge-Macon Artillerist. This is a new one. Whenever you discard 1 or more cards, this creature deals that much damage to each opponent. You can also cycle this to do 1 damage to each opponent. Probably not going to do that. Psychosis Crawler, you know it was in here. Obviously, whenever you draw a card, each opponent loses 1 life. There we go. That's nice. And what I like about that is it is a life loss rather than a damage. So no matter what, if someone's got protection against damage, no worries, life loss. Now we're going to move on. Last 3 cards. And as usual with all my videos, end of the evening, time to bring out the cheese board. First up, Library of Leng. Long-winded card, or my version is anyway. Basically, I have no max hand size and I can discard any number of cards I like when I'm discarding them to the top of my library. That means so when I'm discarding, discard 6, but I want to keep 2, put 2 back on top of my library, discard the other 4, I still draw 6 because I've discarded. Fantastic card. Fantastic card. Well worth a tutor for that. Get a Trinket Mage or a Fabricate in your deck if you're going to buy this card. Well worth it. Saves your bacon. It allows you to just cycle through your deck and just make your hand stronger and stronger. What are the cards I want to hold on to? This. Get rid of those. Hold on to some more. You just become a powerhouse. Just in case you do choose to go down a different path, as we're drawing and discarding with, gay abandon, you may as well have a Jace, Wielder of Mysteries in there. Why not? If you draw a card while your library has no cards in it, you win the game instead. Look, not going to lie to you, I would have put a Laboratory Maniac in there, but I didn't have one, so I used Jace. Trying not to spend so much money on cards anymore. And finally, big piece of jank, Narset, Parter of Veils. So for those windfall type things, Jace's Archivist, Magus of the Wheel, Narset, each opponent can't draw more than 1 card each turn. Not a fan of spoiling people's nights. I like good, nice, positive, fun gameplay. So did have an opportunity to play it last night. It was a great crowd. We were having a great time. Didn't bother. Just let it get discarded. But you got that person that you're like, you're really annoying me, dude. Hey, play this, then Psych Rift them, then Windfall, and then hand them a box of tissues to cry into. Anyway, that is the bare bones, or the meat, in fact, of the deck. Like I said, you can do your own ramp and removal. That's the end of the video. Hope you were informed. Hope you're enlightened. I will highly recommend Rielle. It's a great fun to play with. I will definitely say you need to put it into the Captain Howler deck as just another way of doubling your cards. Good card, good commander. I will see you next time. In the meantime, be good. If not, be good at it.